It was a story that galvanised the world.
Britain's Princess Diana has been in an automobile accident.
She'd had quite a severe head injury, but she was very much still alive on the back seat.
I was crying out for help.
And those people that caused the accident, instead of helping, were taking photographs of her dying.
And we had the media who were completely fascinated by everything we did.
Are they paparazzi in part to blame?
Of course they are.
It was very hard for William and I, knowing that there was absolutely nothing that we could do. We must have been in just this state of shock. For the first 28 years of my life, I never talked about it. How is it that so many people that never met this woman can be crying and showing more emotion than I actually am feeling?
It ain't gonna change it, it ain't gonna bring her back.
Every single time I hear a click, see a flash, it takes me straight back.
In a fit of temper, Harry hit a photographer outside a London nightclub.
I'll not be bullied into playing a game that killed my mum.
Harry says he and Meghan felt they had no other option but to leave the royal family.
I don't want to be Prince Harry. I don't want this responsibility. You know, look what's happened to my mother.
The death of their mother in 1997 was devastating for both boys. But was one affected more than the other?
I was a typical young kid running around playing games with my brother and being told, you know, Mummy's on the phone, Mummy's on the phone. It's like, right, okay, really want to play. And it was her speaking from Paris. How differently that conversation would have panned out if I had even the slightest inkling that her life was going to be taken that night. I have to live with that for the rest of my life, knowing that I was that 12-year-old boy wanting to get off the phone and wanting to go run around and play games rather than speak to my mum.
The next morning, Harry regretted his decision when his dad gave him some devastating news.
Prince Harry actually asked his father, is it true that Mummy's dead? The children couldn't understand why everything was as normal, except that a couple of hours before they'd been told that their mother had died.
Disbelief, refused to accept it. At that point, I was still, I wasn't there. I was still in shock.
Many people believe that the royal family was treating Diana just as they had done when she was alive.
They're the most cold people on this earth.
Harry's mom thought she'd found her fairy tale love when she met Prince Charles.
Can you find the words to sum up how you feel today, both of you? Just delighted and unhappy. And I suppose in love.
Of course.
Whatever in love means.
But she had married into a nightmare.
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
Camilla was revealed as Charles's mistress.
Following her messy divorce, Diana was seen as a great danger to the royal family. Charles and the Queen cut her adrift.
They see me as a threat of some kind. And I'm here to do good. I'm not a destructive person.
Diana had gotten so focused on trying to protect her sons that she couldn't protect herself.
And she was so fed up of being chased by guys on motorbikes and in cars that she stopped the car down a side street and went running up to these guys and just shouted and screamed at them while they took photographs of her. It was very hard for William and I, knowing that there was absolutely nothing that we could do. And just thought, you know, is this supposed to be the way that it's going to be for the rest of our life?
The whole world was heartbroken by Diana's death, including her best friend, Elton John.
Both of those boys are very special to me because of their mother. My heart sank when I saw those 2 boys walking behind the coffin. I thought that was the hardest thing. I can't imagine at that young age having to walk in the public following your mother's coffin.
The royals put their traditions over Harry's grief.
Both William and Harry didn't want to walk.
When is the right time for them to put on their prince hats and carry out duties to mourn not just their mother, but the Princess of Wales in a very public audience? Looking at us then, we must have been in just this state of shock. When the shutters came down and I refused to let myself get sad about the fact that my mother had died, there were certain things that was like someone firing an arrow straight into that barrier. Elton John's song was incredibly emotional. That was part of this whole trigger system which nearly brought me to the point of crying.
His mom was the one person who had always put him first.
It was that love that even if she was on the other side of a room, that you, as a son, you could feel it. To myself and William, she was just the best mother ever. She would just engulf you and squeeze you as tight as possible, and there was no escape. You were there, and you were there for as long as she wanted it to hold you. It's safe to say that losing my mum at the age of 12, and therefore shutting down all of my emotions, has had a quite serious effect.
Harry's anger and grief built up for years until the night he exploded.
In a fit of temper, Harry hit a photographer outside a London nightclub.
Every single time I hear a click, every single time I see a flash, it takes me straight back. It's the worst reminder of her life as opposed to the best.
I think he could have had a lot more guidance, especially from his father. He has veered off the rails because he hasn't had the father figure there all the time when he's needed him.
When no one else would, Elton guided Harry back toward his mom.
She had this incredible ability, which he's kind of inherited, and I told him that, to make people feel at ease and make them feel that everything's going to be all right. I haven't experienced many people in my life who have that ability. I love him very dearly. We're working very, very closely on AIDS projects with him.
I always wanted to go to an AIDS country to carry on my mother's legacy as much as I can. I don't want to take over from her because I never will. I don't think anyone can. But I want to try and carry it on to make her proud.
Following in his mom's footsteps made Harry realize how much he'd been holding back.
All of a sudden, all of this grief that I'd never processed started to come to the forefront. 2 years of total chaos.
Prince Harry opening up about entering therapy to deal with his mom's death.
I really regret not ever talking about it. Yeah, you know, for the first 28 years of my life, I never talked about it.
Just as Harry was facing his grief, a new love walked into his life.
Both of us have passions for wanting to make change for good.
It's one of the first things we started talking about when we met was just the different things that we wanted to do in the world and how passionate we were about seeing change.
What do you think your mother would have thought of Meghan?
As I said, we'd have probably been best friends with Meghan.
I could tell that he was totally in love, and I thought, good for you. I'm happy for him.
But not everyone welcomed Meghan into Harry's life.
Meghan Markle is a favourite target of the British media.
His great fear now that his wife is subject to the same pressures as his mother was.
Not many people have asked if I'm okay.
And the answer is it's really been a struggle.
Yes.
For me and for my wife, you know, of course there's a lot of stuff that hurts. I will not be bullied into playing a game that killed my mum.
And when Harry's son Archie was born, something shifted in him.
As every father and parent would ever say, you know, your baby is absolutely amazing, but this little thing is absolutely to die for.
Just that, Archie, he doesn't have a title. I think that's really symbolic of the way Harry and Meghan want to raise him. He is not HRH, he is not a prince.
Harry finally understood his mother's fearless drive to protect him.
As a parent, could I ask you to respect my children's space? Because I brought the children out here for a holiday, and we'd really appreciate the space. As a parent, I want to protect the children.
You know, my mum clearly taught me a certain set of values, of which I will always try and uphold. I will always protect my family, and now I have a family to protect. Everything that she went through and what happened to her is incredibly raw every single day, and that's not me being paranoid, that's just me not wanting a repeat of the past.
Putting his family first, Harry made an unimaginable decision.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle just announced that they are, quote, stepping back from their senior roles in the royal family.
And I know I haven't always gotten it right, but as far as this goes, there really was no other option. What it had come to, that I would step my family back from all I have ever known, to take a step forward into what I hope can be a more peaceful life.
By refusing to put royal traditions over his family anymore, Harry did what his mom never got the chance to do. He broke free.
She would be proud of her boys, you know, I'm proud of them too.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have reportedly moved next door to Elton John in LA.
We will do everything we can to make sure that she's never forgotten and carry on all of the special gifts as such that she had. I hope that a lot of my mother's talents are shown in a lot of the work that I do. The best lesson that I learned from her is be yourself. Be yourself in everything that you do, and just give as much as you can.